What's up, guys? I know it's been a while since I made a video on my transition, but I figured because it's Transgender Awareness Week that I would go ahead and do a little update. Um, Today is actually 655 days into my transition. Um, it's kind of been a roller coaster. Lots of ups and downs. Mostly downs due to family stuff. I'll get into that. A lot of ups, a lot of positive things going on in my life right now, and I think I do have a lot of immediate support, a lot of good support system, good friends. Um, so I just want to kind of start off with a little story. Um, Well, Wednesday I had surgery. Had some kidney stone problems and stuff. So I had surgery, and me and my girlfriend Amanda were at the hospital, and it was late, like 8 o'clock, and this male nurse comes in, and he comes to the waiting room and was like, he says my name. He was like, "All right, Corey." And I was like, "Yes, sir." And I stood up and walked towards him, and then Amanda stood up and walked my way as well. And he verified the name and birth date, and he looked at Amanda and he was like, "All right, you ready to go back?" And um, we both looked at him like, "What?" And then I was like, "Well, I'm Corey." And he looked at the paperwork he had. Um, just a little rewind. My ID says male. Um, my insurance stuff says female because of just in case of any type of procedures I'm gonna have that relate to female anatomy. I want to make sure that those services are covered. So my insurance has female. So he looked at the paperwork and he was like, "They put female on here." And I was like, well, I'm transgender. And he was like, "Oh, okay." You could tell it caught him off guard. And, Amanda started, laughing and, saying, that's a compliment because, I pass very well. And I don't have to tell people that I'm transgender because most people wouldn't know. So he was saying to her "Oh, well, we'll call you and tell you where to pick her up," referring to me as her. And we both were just looking at each other and then I was like, "All right, this is gonna be a shit show." But Amanda was like, "Hey, he goes by all male pronouns. He goes by he, him. What fucking makes you look at me and say she, her, I guess." So yeah, it's kind of weird. Definitely really open my eyes. Also, I mean, I already kind of knew that I didn't have problems passing and stuff, but it was just kind of funny that he was thinking that she was gonna be the patient because she was there with me. So just a few other things. I wouldn't say discriminations or little issues that I've had as being a trans person. It was early in my transition. Went to the doctor because I was having I don't know what it was. It could have been a hormonal imbalance or something that had to do with my testosterone and all the other medications that I also take. But I was this is maybe almost, it was probably a year ago, maybe a little over a year. I was seeing orange, and I was dizzy and stuff like that. So I went to the urgent care, and the doctor literally just had his back to me the whole time while I was like telling him what was going on. He was like, he had his back like to me, and he was writing, like bent over writing, and he wasn't even like really looking at me. And then he just was like, well, due to your hormones, like I wouldn't know how to treat you. And I was like, you wouldn't know how to treat me? He was like, even if I do blood work right now to see like where your levels are and stuff, like I wouldn't know what your levels need to be. So it sounds like something you need to follow up with your primary care with about. And I was just like, how about treat me like a human? Like if someone else came in here that's not a trans person and says that they're experiencing these things, what would you do for them? And it really like kind of pissed me off. He ended up writing me a prescription for like nausea medication, and I was like, I didn't even feel it because I'm like, what the fuck is that gonna do for me? Very strange. Another thing was I tried to get on with the Department of Corrections out here, the prison system. Went through all my paperwork, went through the physical, finally passed the physical, and I'm like, all right, cool, I'm in the clear. Like, I pretty much thought for sure that I would be set to get the job. This was last summer. Yeah, last summer. And they had the prison system, they have a trans clause, like a whole trans clause in the hiring packet about like you're being assigned to not work with inmates that you'll have to like strip search and do body cavity searches, things like that, if you don't have those same you were not born with those same genitals. So they actually had a specific part in their physical, in their medical packet that basically said that you had to declare that you were trans, and then they had a special part of your of the medical assessment that you had to do. But I didn't know about that. So in the medical assessment, I went to their workers' comp doctor to do my medical, make sure I can bend and check my blood and check my lungs and check my vision and just like a regular like checkup, I guess, for the job. And the doctor that did my assessment, he just completely skipped over the trans part. I guess maybe he didn't know or didn't understand how to do it or what the situation was. But I got the paperwork back because I followed up with my recruiter and was like, hey, I'm transgender, like, is there anything specific that I need to do? And he was like, oh, it's fine. Well, I ended up getting the paperwork back from the like medical place, and they were like, well, you put on here that you were transgender, and it requires a genital exam. And I'm thinking like, a genital exam for a job? That's weird as fuck, but all right. I don't like to show people my genitals, like I don't think most people do. So I go to the doctor, I go back to the same doctor, and I'm like, all right, cool, so what am I supposed to do? Just pull my pants down and quick show them, quick little flash? No, it was full off, like a whole, like, get naked, open up everything, look in there, and yeah, it was really fucking weird. But I'm like, how is this like a thing for a job? Like, it was just weird as fuck. So yeah, that's some things that trans people kind of like, issues that we kind of like face, you know, like just weird things. It could have to do with the bathroom, or it could have, luckily, like, I haven't had any issues like with the bathroom. The only problems that I really have with the bathroom is like using the bathroom in public, where there's other cisgendered male, which means they were born male and live as male. I guess that's how you would describe it. And my issue with going to the bathroom is like, if I have to pee, like, I have to go in this stall. So I've ran into this a couple times in the last like 2 weeks, especially because I've been driving Uber full time now. So like, I have to use more public bathrooms and shit like that. I'll go in the bathroom and Quick Trip. It's one stall working. Someone is always in there shitting. And so I'm just standing in the bathroom, like, waiting for this one person to finish shitting. And other people are at the urinals like right beside the stall peeing. So when I go in, like, you can see my feet facing a certain way, and I'm peeing, and I just quickly finish, and they're probably like, why the fuck did he go in there to sit to pee, you know, like, because it's not like I don't have an issue with passing. um, so yeah, it's kind of like an anxiety thing with using the bathroom in public. um, I don't have problems like going in like single stall bathrooms or single stall men's restrooms, things like that. um, I have an issue with using the bathroom inside of a bathroom where other men are. Um, but I mean, I kind of just power through it because I'm like, I gotta go. Like I'm guessing most people aren't gonna like give a shit how you're peeing or how you're using the bathroom. They're just worried about themselves. Um, now I don't. I just wanted to like let you guys know that like I don't tell people like my story for like sympathy or like for people to feel bad for me. That's not my goal. My goal is to kind of like to raise awareness and make people aware of like what people like me go through. Um, my I wanted to kind of like, even though it's kind of personal, I kind of wanted to like let everyone know like kind of what my surgery plans are because some people have been asking. Now I already had my top surgery. Um, Pretty happy with it. There's a couple things that I kind of want to work on, but it's more so as far as like the weight thing. With me like maybe losing a little weight to maximize my the aesthetics of my chest. Um, my original plans for bottom surgery was to have metoidioplasty, um, which is a simple release of what you already have and rerouting your urethra, so that you can stand to pee, based off your bottom growth that you had since you've been on testosterone, um, and a hysterectomy and a vaginectomy, which is basically closing up your shit. Um, that was my first stage plan starting for February, but because I have had issues with these kidneys, and which has infected my bladder and infected my urinary tract, and my surgeon was tripping about like they didn't want to do any type of surgery if they didn't know like what was going on with me, why I was having these issues, because of course, you know, they're going to be messing with that stuff, so they're like they don't want any issues to arise out of it. So I did put off surgery, which is also, it's okay for me, because I chose to go to school instead. Started EMT school, and I figured like once I get my health back in order, then I can pick up surgery where I left off. I did go ahead and start preparing for second stage phalloplasty by doing second stage bottom surgery, which would be phalloplasty for me. I started electrolysis on my arm. I've had about 8 or 9 sessions already. I still would have to do more work as far as the hair removal for that, but it's no sense of preparing for second stage when I'm not even sure when I'm having first stage right now. So I've put off electrolysis as well, which is cost efficient because it's like $100 a session. So as of now, my surgery plans for bottom surgery are on hold. I do want to have a hysterectomy if not anything else. So when I start new insurance in January, I'm going to contact a couple gynecologists and try to see if I can get a full hysterectomy through a gynecologist versus a surgeon because it's a little cheaper. Now, I do kind of want to touch bases and kind of let people know like what's really going on with my family. It's a pretty fucked up situation. It kind of saddens me, but to be honest, I feel so much better that I'm not around them anymore, which is kind of sad. My therapist really made me realize like just because you were born into a family, that does not make them your tribe. Your tribe could be your chosen family, people you choose, people that are supportive, people that you really can relate to. With my family, I can't relate to them in any way. And really started to accept that. I had been pushing myself onto my family, mostly onto like my mom, and trying to force a relationship where I feel like she didn't really care. She never really did, even before the whole me coming out, like the whole trans thing. She never really had a emotional connection with me, I don't think. Um, so in, let's see, May or June of last year, 2019, I was supposed to go to Atlanta for my brother's baby's second birth. My mom said I could stay with her. I booked a flight. And last minute, my mom contacted me and was like, hey, you shouldn't come for the birth of the baby. The time should be about Layla, which is my brother's wife, and them, not about your drama. And she said that my grandmother, her mom, would be there, and that nobody wants to know about my change, is what she called it, my change. And she was like, it'll worry her to death. My grandmother. She said it would worry my grandmother to death. So guilt tripping me, and saying that she didn't even want to know about it. So I was like, all right. Didn't reply to that. So Mother's Day of last year, I had sent her I went off on her. I sent her a long ass email about like I wasn't surprised. Like this is just like another slap in the face where I try to push myself onto them and to force a relationship with them, and because I felt like it was morally right for me to be there for my brother's second child's birth. But yeah, I didn't end up going, and it pissed me off. I already hadn't been talking to my brother since February of last year, since I came out. And I don't honestly, I really don't know why. People ask me all the time, like, why haven't you and your brother talked? I honestly cannot answer that. Like, neither one of us have said anything about us like being mad at each other, or I just think it's like a disagreement as far as like he thinks that I'm I'm sick or I have like a brain problem or something. Like he thinks that I'm trying to fix my outside before I fix my inside, when really it's the other way around. I'm fixing my outside so that I can feel more aligned with my inside. He doesn't get it. But I thought he would be. I honestly felt like he was gonna be like my alliance, because we had a long conversation, multiple days back and forth about it, and he seemed like he was. I wouldn't say interested, but it was more of like you could tell he had done a little homework or maybe a little research or something, but he thought that we should do like some type of therapy, a family therapy, and I'm just like, we've never done family therapy before, and we've been a fucked up family. Why would we do it now and base it off of me? Like, it's so dumb. But yeah, so me and Jake just really never talked again. And then when the baby was born, like I congratulated Layla, his wife, and me and Jake just didn't. I never said anything to him. With my mom, we talk every now and then, but it's texting, and it's mostly like when she feels like it. She won't reply when I say stuff, but when it's time for her to say something, she'll basically look for an answer. My grandmother, I was really close to my grandmother growing up, my mom's mom, and I had been messaging her and texting her, and she started having like some Alzheimer's type thing going on, or dementia maybe. And that's basically the reason why me and my mom have kind of kept in contact, is to get updates about my grandmother. So I've been texting and calling, and she wasn't answering or anything. She doesn't know about my transition as far as I know. So it's mostly been texting, because I have been guilt tripped into thinking that I shouldn't let her see me because of my physical changes. So I've been texting and calling, and my aunt, my mom's brother's wife, texted me from her phone and was like, "Hey, she's not doing good. They're not, she doesn't even remember to check her phone or charge it or eat or whatever." And I said, I was like, "Well, I want to come see her." And she was like, "Well, given your physical changes and the way you look like, you probably should not see her because some things are better left to keep to ourselves." And I was just like, it was like, she was like, "Oh, I'm supportive, but keep your keep your stuff yourself, but I'm going to support you. I'm happy that you're wanting to live your truth, but I don't want to see it. Keep it out of our sight, basically." So I was just like, all right. So I just stopped replying to her. So I haven't had any update on my grandmother in probably almost a year. Um, in October last month, me and Amanda went to Atlanta, and I had originally planned not to see any of my family. It was to go for a specific event, to hang out in Atlanta, to kind of show her like where I grew up. Show Amanda where I grew up, and go to the clubs and just hang out, chill, like whatever. Um, so when I got there, I was showing Amanda around like where I lived and um, where I grew up and a couple of the houses that I lived in and stuff like that. And I just like kind of felt sad, and I was just like, I felt kind of bad that I wasn't gonna see anybody. Like I'm showing her these people's houses, and like I can't even see them, which is really fucked up. Like I was 1,600 miles away from them. And the only person that I had kind of allied with was Layla. She never really made it apparent that she was on my side, but she never really made it apparent that she wasn't. We kept in contact. I would see the kids and comment on her Snapchats, and we were friends on Facebook. Me and Jake we're not friends on Facebook. We're not friends on Snapchat. Um, my mom never been friends on anything. Uh, so I called Layla when we passed their house, and she called like 3 hours late. She texted like 3 hours later and was like, "What's up?" And I was like, "Hey, Hank, I'm in town. I'd like to see you guys." And she was like, "Well, we're busy, but I wish you would have told us earlier." And I could tell like she was upset because I did plan this trip ahead of time. So I think that she got mad that it was just like I randomly hit her up instead of planning something to see her. She was like, even if it wasn't Jake, it should have been at least her and the kids. Um, I had went to the club the whole weekend. We were at the clubs. We were like hanging out, doing stuff, and so she got mad that I was made plans to go to these places, but I didn't make plans to see them. The whole purpose was not to see them. Like I didn't want to because I didn't want to see my brother. I don't feel like he deserves to see me and living authentically. Um, so she got mad and she went off on me, and she said that Jake took it really personally uh, that I didn't say anything to him after the baby's birth. But we hadn't been talking, and I was pissed that I got told not to come, and then nobody stood up for me and said, "Hey, like, that's bullshit. Like, how are you gonna tell me who's gonna come?" Like, nobody stood up for me. Nobody said, "Yeah, we want you to come." It was just like one person says I can't come, and now I just can't, and it's not even the person that's actually having the baby. So I just felt like nobody really wanted me there anyways. So I'm like, why would I? I'm not just gonna come. Like, I'm not just gonna show up, and I'm not wanted. I'm tired of doing that. I've been doing that a long time. Um, So yeah, I have not talked to my mom since maybe a few days before I came. I went to Atlanta. She didn't know. I didn't tell her. I'm sure Layla did after. Um, so yeah, it's a pretty fucked up situation. Layla really went off on me. She blocked me on all social media. She said that it was gonna piss her off that I was commenting on the stuff about the kids, and that I wouldn't actually make time to come see them, and that um, her kids already know what uncles and aunts are um, from her siblings, what good examples of aunts and uncles are from her siblings, and that I'm not a good I'm not a good uncle. And I explained like how do you expect me to be a great uncle from far away? Like, it was just, it was a lot of back and forth. But she was really mad. Like, I could tell she was really pissed. Um, but I mean, that's on her. I explained my reasoning why I didn't want to see them, and she was like, she understands that. She understands my point of view, and she understands theirs, and she wasn't really trying to pick a side. And she thinks that it's fucked up that our family deals with things the way they do, and she feels like it's fucked up that I had to move away to really live my life authentically, and that I couldn't do it with them, and that all three of us, me, my mom, and my brother, drive her fucking crazy with this shit. So it's pretty crazy to kind of lose an ally in that way. But honestly, like, I kind of feel better without them. I really do. I can honestly say that, like, I don't have to worry about what they're gonna think about me and my transition. I don't have to worry about, like, how something will make them feel. I just live for me. Like, I'm just living for me and building my family and building my relationship, and I just don't feel like they deserve it. And I've talked to Amanda about, like, certain family members and what they have said, that I do believe that they are on my side when it comes to certain things. But it's like a situation where I don't want to subject myself onto other people where I won't get the support. Like, it's not that I'm just gonna cut people out because they don't support me, because it's almost kind of like cutting people out because they don't agree with you on other things. Like, that's just not something that you do. But in this situation, it is kind of upsetting. But yeah, so that's my little situation. Just kind of wanted to give, like, an update or whatever. If anybody has any questions related to, like, my transition and stuff, just you can inbox me. Thanks.